Well, I'm back. And now on to ranking Season 2 of The Simpsons. So, here we go. Not one of the funniest episodes of The Simpsons, but one that nonetheless manages to blend humour and emotion brilliantly. Bart discovers that he is failing class, and is given one more chance to improve his grades, otherwise he'll have to repeat the 4th grade. Which, funnily enough, all the students have done, given that over 30 years later, they're still in the 4th grade. Bart ultimately decides to step up his game, but he discovers that he has difficulty focusing, even when he tries hard to revise, and even prays to God for things to work out. With a blizzard taking place, Lisa advises Bart to stay home and revise while everyone else has fun, ultimately being confined to the darkness of a basement while everyone else is outside in the brightness of the town. However, despite his best efforts, he fails by 1 mark, and what we get is one of the saddest and most relatable moments in the show, Bart practically breaking down as, despite his best efforts, he failed, saying that you can do your best and still not necessarily succeed, which is ultimately a hard but important thing to understand. Though of course, it does have a happier outcome, and Bart manages to succeed, saying,
"But part of this D- belongs to God."
A fantastic episode that blends humour and heart brilliantly, and is very likely to end up near the top of the final list. Simpson and Delilah is a good episode. While it's not as funny or poignant as other episodes, it has good moments. I think Carl is an interesting character, and Harvey Fierstein brings a lot to him, both vocally and also behind the scenes in terms of his character design. I like how on Homer and Marge's wedding anniversary, Carl hires a singer to perform You Are So Beautiful to Marge, and then when Marge sings the song to console Homer at the end of the episode. It's probably my favourite moment in the episode. I also like how the episode shows some humanity in Mr. Burns when he sympathises with Homer's male pattern baldness and gives him his old job back. It's just a good episode. See it for what it is. Treehouse of Horror, the first Halloween episode of The Simpsons. While I can commend this episode for paving the way for genuinely hilarious Halloween episodes, I don't think this one is particularly strong as a whole, but still good. Hungry Are the Damned is my favourite of the 3 segments, as it has a lot of funny jokes to it, especially the How to Cook for Humans scene and the references to HBO and Pong, as well as an interesting shot of Homer and Marge's heads over the served plates to indicate the aliens will cook and serve them like this. Bad Dream House and The Raven are funny segments. That's about it. And James Earl Jones is entertaining in his vocal roles across all 3 segments. A good episode, but ultimately one that is more groundbreaking than it is outstanding. 2 Cars in Every Garage and 3 Eyes on Every Fish is a funny episode. I like its themes of environmentalism and its satirical commentary on politics, as well as the way Marge follows Mr. Burns at the end. Good episode overall. Dance and Homer is a good episode with some funny moments, particularly Marge trying to get Bart's ball signed, and Mr. Burns not knowing the names of the Simpsons family.
Ah, well, if it isn't the Simps!
Don't have much more to say, but I liked it. Dead Putting Society is a funny episode, particularly in watching Homer act like an overly competitive buffoon throughout the episode. His attempt to humiliate Ned comes to a comedic karma ending, in which he claims they both lost the bet and now have to mow each other's lawns in their wives' dresses, only for Ned to enjoy it, and Homer to be the humiliated one. There's also some funny moments in Lisa training Bart for the golf tournament. It's not an amazing episode, but it is a funny one all the same. There's a lot of funny jokes in this episode, and even some subtle commentary, such as when Mr. Burns has Smithers dispose of a huge quantity of food, as well as Kent Brockman doing a human interest story at the soup kitchen, primarily hoping to win an Emmy. I do think Bart is a bit too mean-spirited in the episode, however, implemented when he destroys Lisa's centerpiece, and, for a lot of the episode, doesn't regret it. But he does have an arc in the episode, giving money to the homeless guys he met, and seeing how badly he upset Lisa and apologising. A good episode overall. Bart the Daredevil is quite a funny and also emotionally gripping episode that shows how, despite getting easily annoyed by him, Homer, and also Lisa, do nonetheless care about Bart's safety, with Homer being willing to kill himself to show Bart the danger of jumping Springfield Gorge when nothing else works. Though this does result in Bart learning his lesson, Homer ends up inadvertently riding over the gorge anyway, and in comedically dark fashion, ends up falling down the gorge twice. And honestly, this never fails to crack me up. Many years before South Park took on the topic of censorship as a recurring theme, both on the small and big screen, The Simpsons managed to take it on in an interesting commentary with Itchy and Scratchy and Marge. As well as having a hilarious Psycho reference, the episode leans into the question if cartoons influence children to become violent, and also about the hypocrisy of trying to censor one form of art, but not another. showing in Marge getting Itchy and Scratchy toned down, but seeing David as a work of art. I like how even the toned down Itchy and Scratchy cartoons manage to be hilarious, and how this prompts the bored children to go outside, creating the illusion of a cheerful utopia. Ultimately, I conceive the episode's message to be about not censoring art because one person dislikes it, as this can start a chain of other people having art censored because they don't like it. And also something that, as mentioned before, South Park would go on to address many times. A very funny and thought-provoking episode. This was the first episode to guest star the late great Phil Hartman. Revisiting these episodes in order of air date reminds me of the comedic delivery Hartman brought to both Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure. And overall, this is a good episode with some funny moments, particularly in how Homer and Bart try to fabricate the truth for financial gain beyond Bart's medical bills, while Mr. Burns tries to fabricate the truth and ends up infuriating everyone, including Smithers.
You believed his cock and bull story?
And it's good to see Marge bring her moral compass to court, and the reconciliation between her and Homer at the end is a very emotional one. Good episode. This is an interesting episode that maintains both humour and poignancy in Homer trying to make the most of the potential final hours of his life, along with the hilarious ending in which he vows to make the most of his life, but simply does what he was doing before. A good episode. When I think of Simpsons episodes that show why Homer and Marge's relationship feels genuine, one of the first to come to mind is The Way We Was. The episode shows that, despite Homer's flaws, he really loves and respects Marge. I especially love the detail of Marge teaching Homer French, and then after the prom, he fixes her dress with the corsage he bought her, saying, "Poor boo," which ended up becoming a common saying in their relationship going forward, as well as Close to You essentially becoming their song. Like Artie, Homer loves Marge. Unlike Artie, Homer respects Marge, which is something I feel later writers would misunderstand. And the episode has a lot of really good jokes. The reference to Siskel and Ebert is hilarious, and my favourite jokes are when Homer says,
"English? Who needs that? I'm never going to England."
As well as his quote-unquote rebuttal. A very funny and also emotionally gripping episode, and one you ought to love if you were to understand how legitimate Homer and Marge's love for each other is. This is a really good episode. I like the arc Homer has in stealing cable, only for Lisa to convince him not to watch the fight at the end, and then cut off the cable connection. A really good episode. Principal Charming manages to have both humour and heart. It has funny references to Vertigo and Gone with the Wind, but it also gives character development to both Principal Skinner and Patty. Despite Patty seeming unlikable, especially in ruining Selma's chance at marrying a co-worker, it is shown that she cares for her sister, passing up marrying Skinner due to the bond she has with Selma. Skinner accepts the situation, and humorously reasserts his authority over Bart. Good episode. This is a decent episode. My favourite joke is probably when Homer cries about not being able to find the Shelbyville orphanage. The design of the Homer is pretty creatively bizarre as well. With this said, the ending rubs me the wrong way. While Homer's car was a disaster, Herb did ask Homer to design the car, and never oversaw any of the design blueprints, only to then blame him when he goes bankrupt. And this does bring the episode down for me, though it's far from a bad episode. I do think the ending to this episode is poignant, though I do think the point about Santa's little helper being reckless is dragged out for too long. Good episode overall, though. Old Money is a very emotionally gripping episode. The relationship between Grandpa and Bee is very touching, and her death is very sad. While the episode does have a lot of funny jokes, as you'd expect from The Simpsons, it has quite a serious angle, and a poignant ending in which Homer stops Grandpa from gambling our money away, and Grandpa instead uses the money to repair the retirement home, renaming the dining room in her honour. Really good episode. This is a really good episode. I like the humour that comes in Homer getting stuck in the water slide and trying to lose weight as a result of it, and how it leads to him discovering Marge's old paintings of Ringo Starr, which prompts Lisa to suggest Marge go to a painting class where her artwork proves successful. When Mr. Burns asks Marge to paint a picture of him for an upcoming museum wing, she becomes frustrated by his personality and the way he speaks to her family. Despite becoming demotivated and unsure of how to make him beautiful, she finds a decades-late letter from Ringo Starr praising her artwork and prompting her to continue, leading to quite an interesting message about what the portrait shows. I also really like Ringo Starr's two scenes and how well incorporated they are into the story, as well as his guest appearance. Though, having grown up with the classic era of Thomas the Tank Engine, of which he narrated the first two seasons, it's hard not to imagine him finishing one of his lines with, "said Thomas."
"Yeah," said Thomas.
Lisa's Substitute is a very funny and poignant episode. The plotline about Mr. Bergstrom being Lisa's substitute teacher manages to have a lot of poignancy to it, while the plotline about Bart wanting to be class president has a lot of funny jokes. And I like how the two plotlines come together at the end, when Homer consoles both Lisa and Bart over the negative outcomes. Mr. Bergstrom is a great one-off character, shown to care about his students, particularly Lisa, and his note to her before he leaves is especially poignant. Dustin Hoffman brings a lot to his vocal performance, and it even comes with a funny Graduate reference. Sex! Now that I've got your attention, watch Lisa's Substitute, it's great. The War of the Simpsons juggles a plotline of Marge trying to fix her and Homer's marriage, and one of Bart and Lisa taking advantage of Grandpa taking care of them, and both are very well done. The setup in which Homer gets drunk at a house party is genuinely funny, particularly when Homer tells off a guest he doesn't know, and the end of the party, where Dr. Hibbert tells Marge what to do if she wants Homer to survive the night, and Homer's response to Marge sharing her humiliation. When Marge signs her and Homer up for marriage counselling, Homer tries to seize the opportunity to go fishing, but eventually lets a huge catfish go to show his love for her. While Homer and Marge's story has an emotionally gripping end, Bart, Lisa and Grandpa's has a funny twist, in which after Bart and Lisa trick him into letting them have a house party, he tricks them into cleaning the house by pretending to cry. To some extent, all the characters win in their own way in the end. This is a good episode. It's not quite as funny as other episodes, but it has some funny jokes, and it does have an intriguing message about learning to share. Blood Feud has a lot of really funny moments, including when the family debate the lesson they learned by the end. But my favourite moment is when Homer pretends to be Mr. Burns to get back the letter Bart sent, and forgetting his first name. It may well be the most comedically layered scene in The Simpsons at this point. There's the giant painting atop the post office, Homer using a fake voice, like that's going to make any difference. The fake voice not even sounding like Mr. Burns. He doesn't know his boss's name. He continues to use the fake voice in spite of it. The delivery of,
I don't know.
He blames Bart. 7 jokes in just 15 seconds. I also like how even though Smithers stands by Mr. Burns a lot of the time, he draws the line at allowing him to have Homer beaten in response to his angry letter, reminding him that the Simpsons saved his life, prompting Burns to send them an Olmec head. Really good end to the season. An improvement over Season 1, and with many considering the golden age of The Simpsons to be Seasons 3 to 8, I think optimism is the best state of mind for what's to come.